everyone. Welcome to the table. Welcome to the grown folks table. Are you all ready to have some grown folks table conversation tonight?
Come on with it.
Well, where tonight we're talking about hidden figures, and I'm sure many of you are very familiar with the film Hidden Figures that was about three African American women who were brilliant in math, and so those women were Katherine Johnson, that was played by Taraji P. Henson, Dorothy Vaughan, she was played by Octavia Spencer, and Mary Jackson, played by Janelle Monáe. And so this was a wonderful film about Black women who were the brains behind the greatest operation in history with NASA. And so many times Black women are overlooked and do wonderful things. And so tonight we're pulling up to the table to talk about women that have been hidden and have done phenomenal things that we want to shout out and recognize. So, Vicky, I'm going to throw the ball right to you because I know you know a hidden figure that you want to recognize. Tell me someone that is wonderful to you. Oh, Vicky, you're on mute. We would love to hear your voice. Oh, Vicky, you're still on mute.
Is it on mute?
Okay, you're out. We can hear you. Go ahead.
I'm so sorry, ladies. I just need some coffee. Okay, so I won't repeat what I said because it might not be acceptable for our audience. that was the Lord that had that thing on mute.
See, the Lord did it. The Lord did it. You ain't gonna be right tonight.
He did it. But I don't know if I want to give you both of mine, but I'll give you one right now. I can think of my one I want. You know who I think is an up-and-coming, powerful woman, I believe, that's going to have a powerful presence in our community. It's Mary Pat Hector. And I don't know if you all know her, maybe you do, but I got a chance to spend some time with Mary Pat. And I have been so impressed with her level of advocacy in our community. She ran for her office. She was the youngest person to ever run for office when she ran for Stonecrest City Council. And she got a lot of flack from the community because they felt she wasn't old enough, and she hadn't even graduated from college. She is a Spelman alum now. And so she didn't win that election, but she has gone on to continue her advocacy work. And she's joined herself. I was taught this, ladies, I was taught this as a young woman: join yourself to a cause that is greater than you. And so I think Mary Pat has joined herself to several causes that are great. She works very closely with Al Sharpton. She works in advocacy with in the community. She is even tutoring her little brother, who is maybe the youngest owner of a little business. He's got his own business, LLC, in Stonecrest, called Mason's Hot Dogs. And so we went over and patronized him, and I'm so proud of him. He's probably not more than 15 years old. And so Mary Pat is not just content to think about her own aspirations, but she's reaching back. And so I do believe it's somebody you should keep under your radar. I believe that she's going to do some great things. And she's only in her early 20s, I would say 23 or so, but I've been impressed with her work in our community.
Okay, Libby, you're next. Thank you for sharing, Vicky.
Well, I think for me is that what the hidden figure for me is probably more simple than it is none. And it basically is, I think it's mothers in the community. I think we forget about those mothers who are out there and who are feeding folk and who are definitely trying to make sure that people have the things that they need. They're getting clothing for them. And so I think we have to remember those people.
Well, you're right about mothers. You know, I'm a mother. And so, of course, you know, lately I won't even get on my whole, this is not the platform to talk about.
Come on.
Joyce, jump in and tell us about your hidden figure.
Well, one I got to speak of posthumously.
Okay.
One, her name is Zilla Mays. I remember when I was in college, I only had this AM radio in my car. And when I was in college, I was a mass communications major, majoring in broadcast TV and radio. I would hear this woman's voice and I'm like, oh my God, she sounds so good. And the beautiful thing is when I graduated from college, got into the industry, worked for about 3-4 years in my hometown of Athens, I was offered a job in Atlanta. And then I was offered another job from the current radio station that I work at. And I remember seeing her. I was in the glass. There was a glass that separated the radio personalities from someone coming into the studio. And I just stood at the glass and I just looked at her. And I'm not going to say what she said to me looking in the glass. Because like Vicky said, we can't say it. But we eventually became very good friends. She actually became my mentor without knowing that she was my mentor, but she was my mentor. And she taught me how to become the personality that I am today. And back then, some 40 years ago, 30 something, how long I've been in the business, 37 years ago, women weren't being awarded like we are pushing for now.
Right.
And had I been in a position to hand her an award, I would give her an award. I just recently received induction into the National Black Radio Hall of Fame. And to my knowledge, she's not there. One of the things that I want to do is to push for her to be recognized in this Hall of Fame. Because I know not only did she touch me, but she touched a lot of women that were listening. And she just taught me how to be myself. She said, Joyce, don't try to be no character as a personality. Don't try to be no one else but who you are. Say it like if you weren't on the radio and you were standing in the grocery line and you start talking, people will recognize you from your voice. And that happens to me all the time because I never pretended to be anyone else but myself, thanks to Zilla Mays.
Oh, that's such a beautiful story. That is. Wow, that's so wonderful. Delois, what about you? Do you have any hidden figures?
Well, first of all, I would just say that I am just so glad that 1981 they were able to pass into law this Women History Month. It is just so overdue about all the wonderful contributions that women have made. And Joyce, I am very familiar with Zilla Mays.
Come on.
She was radio and she was WAOK. Yes, she was. And I'm also Vicky familiar with Mary Pat.
Yes.
I remember when she ran for office and I allowed her to come and talk to the 100 Black women. And so I said, that little young girl, she's on fire. So you're right, she is one to watch. And Libby, as you talk about the people in the community, the teachers, the young women, the mothers, the teachers, all those down to really the kids who have to get on Zoom, you know, and do their schoolwork. But I would just say I have a person, but not so much she is hidden because she is well known and she's received many accolades. And for me, it's the president, Valerie Montgomery Rice at Morehouse School of Medicine. And that's because, you know, I'm an advocate and she's an advocate. And I advocate on behalf of Black women and girls, been doing it for the last 15 years. And she also advocates for health equity. And so that is very important. It's important to me. And so with those things in mind, she just truly inspires me to continue to do when I want to give up sometime, or when I'm just saying that, you know, I just want to go off in the sunset and I just want to maybe get a rocking chair and just rock for the rest of my life. But I may get an email or something I hear about her that she's doing. And when the COVID-19 came, just how it was important for her to make sure all the civil rights leaders over 75 were vaccinated, you know, that received, you know, the shot. And so it was just important. And I just like the things that she stands for. she is very well known and has received actually the 100 Black Women. We also honored her with a Women's Impact Award because of the wonderful things she's doing. And she founded that Help Women's this Center for Disease. And so I'm just in awe with her. I'm just inspired by her work and all the things she's been doing and in the community, because she's a big community activist.
Well, for me, it's been, and so I've been holding my breath because I just knew if someone was going to say mine, I was like, gosh, was that a good idea to go last? And so for me, it was Michelle Obama. So I am a big Michelle Obama fan. Oh my gosh. And I just love her. I love her, number one, because when she stepped into the White House 8-9 years ago, it did my heart so much joy to see someone that looked like me becoming over the years, and then for her to come out of the White House and then tell her truth and tell her story and how liberating that was, and for her to travel from city to city, empowering women through her message and through her book of Becoming. It was just beautiful. And then now, because I have a heart for women and I have a heart for girls, and so now she's even taking her book down to work with young girls on their becoming story. And so I'm so excited to be able to share that with my girls this summer as well. And then this other tidbit was, have y'all seen her arms? She would get up at 4 a.m. and that thing be working out on them arms. I was like, Michelle Obama had me getting up at 4 a.m. trying to work out. Right? She did. And
so came in with them arms, honey. She had
everybody. I mean, she had everybody.
Wow. I just love her messaging. I love her. I love what she did for not just for Black women, but for women, period. And so, I mean, she is totally my hidden figure. And when she stepped on the stage, I don't care what stage is on, she coming. She is there and she's coming. And when she sit down, she has something intelligent to say. And so I really love that. And for you, all of you are hidden figures to me. I love and I follow all 4 of you, and I see the work that you're doing. You all inspire me in your own special way. Delois is definitely a woman that knows how to distinguish and be distinguished and teach you how to hold your head up high and carry yourself and conduct business. Because when you see her, she's all about business. And Miss Vicki Turner, who is now chairman of the DeKalb County School Board, and she is doing phenomenal within the DeKalb County School District, which is one of the large school districts here in Metro Atlanta, for those of you that are watching. And then Miss Joyce Littell, who is a radio personality here in Atlanta on dual radio stations, the voice of the Quiet Storm. I wish I could say it like Joe. And who Dr. Livia Bakar, who never has a dull moment, brings forth a dull moment, but so much wisdom beyond her years. You guys just bring me so much joy. So all of you guys are my hidden figures.
And I could say the same thing. I remember praying about meeting some women that I could connect with. Because I for a long time I was doing a lot of things just on my own, and I'll never forget saying the prayer about God put me in a place where I can be around women who were fun, who were smart and intelligent that I could learn from, and who were empowering, such as you. And I'll just never forget. I won't go into details about that first brunch we had. And I said, yes, these are the women, because I had you in one place. But then when we all sat down and just started being ourselves, I knew then, I'm like, yeah, these are some women that I would love to continue to connect with and learn from. And I truly have learned from each and every one of you. So I too will say, as Alicia said, you are my hidden figures as well.
I feel that too, and thank you, Pastor E, for saying that because we don't often celebrate each other like we should. We just don't. And you are a group of phenomenal women, and you bring something to the table that I don't have. That's how I look at it. There's something missing from my plate. You fill that in. I don't have to be you, and you don't have to be me, but I just want you to be authentic to who you are, and that helps me to be a better version of myself. And so I wanted to say this about Michelle Obama as well. Michelle Obama, which is all of our hidden figure, for real, I'm sure. He didn't just come and be comfortable with being a beautiful Black woman. He just didn't come to the table with being a statuesque, articulate, well-spoken woman. He didn't come just dressing, to the nines. He didn't just do that. She showed up with her A game. And when she opened her mouth, you knew she was there. That's what you want more in front of us, in front of our children, in front of our grandchildren. That don't just show up, because we have some first ladies that just show up, and I won't name any. They just show up, but she showed up with her A game, and she left a footprint in that White House that will never be filled.
I agree. She is one that we can all say what she reminds me of what I was saying about the women of the community. I guarantee if we can go and survey the community she was in, people would say how she was always a servant. Her mother, bringing her mother to the White House is evident that she was one that sat at the feet of people to understand sistership.
Yeah.
And so in that, saying that she's that person who knows how to give back. And this is the reason why we gather. This is why we are each other's hidden figures, because of people like her and people within the community who can say, we still need sistership. We still need that kind of sisterhood. In order to do that, we have to be one with another. We have to learn how to share and not compete, and be comfortable and support and celebrate. And that's what it's all about.
I remember the pastor at your Red Blouse brunch saying, we are each other's cheerleaders.
Yes.
We're not competing.
Right.
We're cheerleading.
Yes.
And I remember posting that. I had put my red blouse on, some red lipstick, and I'm like, let me post that. And I think that, and I know that's what I love about the Red Blouse brunch, and not ever wanting to miss it, because you don't necessarily have to know a person personally to be empowered.
Right.
And that's what that moment does. That's what this moment does. I think about sometimes, my level of reading sometimes, and I'm like, I'm about to come to this table with them women. Let me be on my A game. And which is something that I can appreciate now. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And it isn't something that you set out to personally do. It was just who you are and what this platform is meant for, and what it has aided me with. And so that's what's so cool about it. That's why we have to talk on Thursday nights at 8 o'clock. You know what I'm saying? It's because we are a voice to empower. We are a voice to say we don't have to grow up the same way. We don't have to be the same size, but we can always be each other's cheerleaders. And we're not here to compete. We're here to empower. So, thank y'all. Thank you, ladies. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yes. And if I can, I'd like to also just say, Pastor Cash, thank you for letting us be your hidden figures, because I would say that you all are definitely mine, because I really appreciate every week being able to sit down at the table with you ladies and just have dialogue. And it has been just so inspiring for me. You all inspire me every time we sit at this table. I learn something from each and every one of you. And what I really love, Pastor Cash, because I know this is your time, your tagline, you wrote this, we're not in competition, but we're in collaboration.
Yeah.
Yes.
I love that. And so it sticks with me and it stays with me every day, because we are women and empowering women and empowering each other.
And I like, do you all think, thank you, Delois, we are, and collaboration is so important. Do you all think that you know, women can be hidden figures no matter their impact, whether it's small or big? You know, for me, I chose Michelle Obama because that's just the I guess that's just the bar for me, you know, for where I am with my impact. And so, but I think women can be hidden figures, whether it's you know, small or large impact. And that was one of the things that I don't mind bringing up from my Red Blouse brunch. There was a woman that we was recognizing who was a medical assistant, and she also worked at Publix. And so when we were recognizing her, she came on and she was so excited. She was like, "Oh my God, I'm overwhelmed to be shoulder to shoulder with these women." And so, no, you don't have to be necessarily a Michelle Obama to be considered a hidden figure. To me, I think it's about just how Libby came on and said, the women that are in the community that are feeding people that are hungry, you know, who are taking in children, are co-parenting while their parents are having to go to work and they're not there. Or who's giving you know, people a ride to work and supporting them, or paying people's tuition anonymously. You know, all of those are hidden figures because people out there are still doing those kind of random acts of kindness to make impacts. What about you all? Is there anyone that you think of that are doing those type of things that maybe on a smaller scale, but we still consider them hidden figures?
I've got. I wanted to share one. I don't know if you've met her, and I can't. Her last name has escaped me, but the ministry is called Lady Tees. Lady Tees, and she feeds the hungry and the homeless. And she's this little woman that's probably this tall. And she has a powerful voice out in our community, feeding the hungry and the homeless. And Lady T, she goes all over and get partnerships. She came to my school when we were in full operation, and we used to make sandwiches for her to deliver. We would buy socks, we would buy blankets. Every family would bring in blankets and socks for Lady T to take out into the community. And even when the weather is inclement, she's still out there. Teresa is her first name. I cannot remember her last name because she really does need any kind of help. Anybody want to fix some peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, man, she would just adore you. She don't even have to, because I wanted to go buy turkey. You know, I wanted to fix something that's really nice. I said, I can do turkey. And she said, no, turkey and cheese. I just want peanut butter and jelly. But I'm just saying, she has
not Thanksgiving dinner.
She has a powerful presence out in the homeless community. If you ever go out on a Sunday morning, if you ever go out on a Saturday morning, you will find her, in particular downtown Atlanta, driving all over and talking to these people like they're her relatives. She don't take no stuff from them. And, you know, we took coffee. But Lady T's Hungry and Homeless Ministry is something that we should lift up as a hero, a hidden figure in our community. Atlanta is better because she serves.
No, excellent.
Well, you know what? Now that you bring up, you know, just Atlanta, I could not in our time together without talking about Keisha Lance Bottoms, who is our lovely mayor. Mm-hmm. We have a mayor named Keisha. Okay, first of all, let me just say that, you know. Let me just call that out. But not only that through this whole global pandemic and social injustice, she has really had to take her stance on some issues, whether people liked it or not. And a lot of times when women, when we are in certain leadership positions, we get categorized differently when we have to take a stance on certain things. And one of the things I like about Keisha that she hasn't had to come on to try to pretend to be someone that she's not. She's come on and she spoke to our community, African-American community, and she's told us to stay our tails home, or she's told people do not come to our city and do this, you know. So I just think, you know, she's been able to lead and embrace her being a woman and being feminine. So to me, I would like to, give shout out to our mayor, Keisha Lance Bottom. She's doing other things. She's on the rise on a national platform as well. And so I think the best is yet to come from her as a woman in leadership.
I think that's awesome. I think the other thing that kind of brings me to women who have served, let's say, for instance, the civil rights movement, who pushed the men who had to be quiet during a certain time. Got babies going here. Had to be quiet in order for the men to be loud. And I think they are hidden figures. I think we have to remember those persons and remember how they stood in the gap and made sure that the men did shine and were in the background cooking the meals, in the background writing the speeches, in the background listen to the husbands and the men go over the speeches over and over again to make sure the speeches were right. They were the ones who were typing up the speeches, and we have to remember them. And I think the other hidden figure would be those who are essential workers, who are holding the hands of people who are dying because the family can't get there, who are giving encouraging words day in and day out and sacrificing their health just to make sure that they are there. So I think those are some hidden figures that we don't forget about, but we don't think enough of. They have great sacrifices. They have great, they're being chaplains. They're being doctors. They're being some folk lawyers. They're being some folk confidants. They are having to do some big things that they did not go to school for. They were not trained for. COVID was not something that they anticipated. And COVID happens and these people cannot see their loved ones. They're even having to learn technology because guess what? They have to FaceTime families to make sure people can see their families. And I'm saying that because I recently had a colleague in ministry who passed away from colon cancer, and he was very young. He was 40 years old, 39, 40 years old, and 39 actually. And his wife, in the same age group, she had to, she couldn't be there for 3 weeks while her husband was going through certain things within the hospital. And it was the nurses that I'm sure had to be there for her and for him. And so we have to remember that, and those essential workers.
Wow. Go ahead, Joyce.
I think it's a lot of people. I mean, we could just go to gamut, of what women have contributed to society, in the past, in the present, and in the future. And I too, Dolores, like this month where we do recognize, women. When I became brand manager of our news and talk station here in Atlanta, WAOK, I started the Sister Talk series because of that, because there are so many women that aren't recognized. There are women that have put themselves in a position to always be recognized, like the Michelle Obamas, which we will forever adore, like the Oprah Winfrey's, which we will ever adore. But there are people like Elisa Pope, who is a stylist to some of the stars and to the Atlanta Hawks. But she also will cut anyone's hair that needs it. So she, it's people like that. Leatrice Elsie, who runs the Hammons House, and she also runs the Apollo Theater, the programming for it, that are bringing, the arts, to a community that might not be so aware of who is doing what within the arts, other than some of the popular artists. So, it's just gobs of women, a Janelle Elsie, who just is going up the ranks in the food industry with US Foods that just kill them on a daily basis. And she was the one that helped instrument with US Foods partnering with a community organization to say, why are we throwing millions of dollars worth of food away when we need to go hook up with some organizations like the Hosea Helps and other food pantries, and US Food provided all of this food. I mean, big trucks of food. So it is so many women. One that I admire, Felicia Love, she is bringing Black women in radio together, because we hadn't always been together. we hadn't always been willing to support and help each other because we are thinking that you might be trying to take my position or something that I received. But because of her efforts, that now all of these women all across the country, I met a program director, a brand manager from Chicago through one of these organizations. And I was faced with a decision, and I wanted to get a different perspective. I only met this sister one time, and she and I, when I tell you the support was so on and the communication was so on. So we could be here till tomorrow evening sometimes talking about the impact that so many hidden women are making in this community that should keep a smile on your face, that should keep you just blushing, because we are doing things, and we should speak out about all the things that we are doing. So our young nieces and cousins and children, when the young girls in our lives will understand, you have a place in this society. You have a place. Don't let anyone tell you that you don't. It is on you to just carve out, to pave your lane, and to become whomever you want to become. And then there's a group of women like us, seasoned, who are there to help push you along the way.
Well, there you have it. It's Women's History Month, and we'll be celebrating all month long. Thank you so much for joining us tonight as we have highlighted some hidden figures. Drop a note in the chat if there's someone that you've been thinking about that have impacted you or have done some wonderful things in the community or around the world that have inspired you. We'll be right back here next Thursday. Please don't forget to subscribe to our podcast, and we look forward to seeing you. Good night.